Hello and welcome. Motivation is an absolute lie. And I'm going to explain why today. I'm going to show you why, and I'm going to give you a strategy to use instead. You know how I know motivation is a lie? Because there's been so many times where I had plans to do something. I had this amazing idea. I thought it was going to be awesome. I looked into it super far. I was highly motivated, all the way motivated. I looked into it. I did the research. I did the work. I did the plan. I did everything that needed to happen around this thing. And then you know what I did next? I went to sleep. I slept on it. Then the next day, that motivation starts to go down a little bit. And the next day, it goes down even lower. And the next day, it goes down even lower. And you can just see how that motivation erodes over time and just goes away as you move closer and closer to the things that you want. And that to me proves that motivation just simply doesn't carry us through. It doesn't carry us long enough. It doesn't allow us to hit the goal. Now, I'm not saying it never does. Obviously, there's exceptions to every rule. Sometimes people do have motivation that carries them the distance, right? And it really depends on how deep that motivation is and what the why is for that person. But in most cases, from my experience, motivation is an absolute lie. So let's break it on down. Let's look at it from every angle, figure this out so we can get ready for 2026. And instead of using motivation, we can use an actual plan that works to reach our goals, to get the things that we want in 2026, whether that's a healthy body. For most of you, it probably is. A lot of the people that I talk to and work with are people that are dealing with Lyme disease, co-infection, tick-borne illness, chronic, chronic illness in general, right? And so stick with me here. Let's get into this. And I hope you're doing absolutely wonderful today. Today is Tuesday, December 30th. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. I hope you're excited. And hopefully this video will get you even more excited because you'll see the possibilities. You'll see what we can do to absolutely crush it without relying on motivation, which can simply go away overnight. As I was just explaining, you go to sleep, you have a great idea, you go to sleep the next day, that idea is a little bit less motivational. It's not quite the same. Oops, wrong one. Then the next day you go to sleep again, it goes away again, right? It just keeps going down and down and down. And I see this motivation erode over time, and I want to share with you the opposite. What to do instead to make sure that we show up for ourselves and actually make it work in 2026 and beyond. So motivation is a terrible strategy, and today I'm going to share with you what actually works. So here's the lie we've been sold. We're taught that motivation comes first, that it's super important, and there's even a whole industry built around this. Motivational speakers, motivational books, self-help books, all of this stuff that is aimed at getting us to be more motivated, to have more energy going towards our goals, right? And have more motivation to move forward. And this whole industry is built upon that. And people pay hundreds or thousands of dollars to see people tell them to be motivated, to go after their goals, to make plans to go after their goals, and to try and hit their goals. And really what I think they're doing is buying the opportunity to dream. And so they have this big dream, this big goal, and they want to have that goal. They don't want it to go away, so they pay money to the motivational industry to get motivated to hit that goal. And does it work? Well, it works until it doesn't. That's the problem with motivation. It's unreliable. It doesn't show up consistently day after day after day in a sustainable, stable fashion. It is up one day, down the next, up the next day, over there the next day, and then maybe it's all the way over there. Our motivation is constantly in swing. It's never stable. It's never sustainable. And it's an emotion, right? If we're being honest about it, it's completely emotional. There's almost no logic involved with motivation. It is just a feeling. It's just, okay, I feel motivated today. People say they feel motivated. And some people say they have motivation, but it's not really something you can have. It's just an emotion that we feel. It's unpredictable. We don't know when it's going to come, where it's going to come from, how we're going to get it, unless, of course, we're going into that motivational industry I was just speaking about. Sometimes it can be a little bit more predictable because we're saying, here's $1,000, now make me feel motivated. And we better feel motivated after that. It's mood dependent. So if you're super motivated one day and then the next day you're just having a bad day, something goes wrong, whether it's in a relationship or in your business or in your health, and your mood tanks, right? Maybe you just didn't sleep that well and your mood goes downhill. You feel sad or angry or whatever. You're just not in a good mood. And then the motivation disappears. You don't feel motivated on the days that you are in a bad mood. So here's the motivation trap. Here's what we've been told. Here is the lie laid out right in front of you. Motivation leads to action, and action leads to results. Now, this is partly true, and that's what makes it so tricky. That's what makes it a trap. Because here is the true formula. Action leads to results, which leads to motivation to get more results, which leads to more action, to more results and more motivation, and it's a cycle in that manner. And I've seen this happen throughout my entire life, even with something so simple as going live every single day. The more I do it, the more action I take, right? And let's be honest, like a lot of times I come on here, there's only one person watching or two people watching. It's not like I'm getting massive results right away. So I have to continue taking that action day in and day out. Then I start to see the results. I start to see more views. I start to see more interaction. I start to see more people show up. And then I am more motivated because I see all these results and I go, oh, I got to keep taking action. And it's just a cycle in that manner. Now, this is just one example of a live, but put this in the area of health, right? We start eating extremely healthy because why? We're taking action. We don't have to feel motivated to eat healthy. We just have to eat healthy. We start to see the results. Maybe our brain fog goes down. Maybe our joints feel a little bit better. Maybe we have more energy. And that gives us motivation to then continue that action of eating healthy. And it compounds from there. So here's what actually works. Not motivation, but systems. Systems for knowing what to do each and every step of the way. A process. And systems are just many different processes put together, right? So let's try and think of something really simple here to explain a system. So a system for doing, I've already done that example. So I'm trying to think of something newer. Like, okay, here's an example. My son loves soccer. He wants to get better at soccer and it's his whole life and joy. He's constantly trying to play. So the system that we can put together, instead of saying, all right, well, you're motivated, let's go when you're motivated. No, we need a system, right? If he actually wants to take it seriously and show up every day, and granted, I mean, he's 9 years old, it's not like a huge deal, but if he wants to have a system around this, what we would do is say, okay, we're going to practice at this field at this time, and then we're going to do goalie practice at this time, defense practice at this time, forward practice at this time, and it's just a group of processes created into a system, right? These are the days we're going to train. These are the what we're going to train on each day. That becomes a system that he can then just operate in forever, ideally, right? If he really wants to keep going with it. And that's totally his choice. I'm not the kind of dad that like forces him to do that. Although I do love soccer. So it's fun for both of us. I get to train, he gets to train, we play together. It's so fun. Now, another thing that works really well is identity. So bringing this over to the case with my son, if he starts to identify as a soccer player, that will help, right? That totally helps. That's going to push him in the right direction. That will give him motivation because he sees himself as the person that does. He sees himself as the soccer player, right? Moving that over to healthy eating. If you see yourself as a healthy individual, you make the right choice more often than not when you go to pick up food. It really does come down to identity. Now, the problem is you can't really start with identity because it requires those results as proof. It's really hard for me to wake up one day and say, yeah, I'm a bodybuilder, right? I'm just jacked. I just have huge muscles. It's like, no. That's not true at all, right? And so I can't just claim that. And so that's why it requires action first. Then the results come. The results give us proof. That proof becomes our identity. And that identity drives motivation, right? Because as we're seeing the proof, we're seeing in real time, oh, wait, I'm actually good at this. I'm actually a bodybuilder. I'm actually, growing my muscles or whatever it is, right? I'm actually getting better at soccer. I'm actually eating the correct food all the time. I am a healthy individual. And then I take that through. Now, here's something interesting that I share with people pretty often, but I want to share it here. I think it fits perfectly. When I was, at the worst part of Lyme disease, and I was, I had co-infections, I had Lyme disease. It was terrible. I've talked about it many times on this channel. Check out any of my videos. You can hear the story. But I used to tell myself I am the healthiest man alive. Even though it clearly wasn't true. I was dealing with an infection that most doctors don't even know how to treat. I was dealing with difficult health problems, but I would tell myself every day, I'm the healthiest man alive. And it was kind of like a joke at first. And it came from me talking to my parents and my wife at the time and just saying, like, they would be like, well, what are you going to do? Or like, how are you going to get better from this? And I'd be like, I'm the healthiest man alive, right? And so it became like a joke. It was in response to how am I going to handle this very difficult health challenge? And they laughed. I laughed. It was a moment of just calmness, a little joke to take the edge off of something very serious. But then I continued saying it because I saw the power of that identity, of the idea of seeing myself as the healthiest person. And obviously to say alive is crazy, right? I can't measure everybody's health and put myself at the very top. That's insane. But but the idea was I was saying I am the healthiest person alive. And that's nowhere near true. But I started to identify with being a healthy person, period. I didn't have to actually be the healthiest person alive. That's not really what I was going for. I just wanted to be healthy. I just wanted to have my health back. And so I started to identify with health itself and with the systems and with the process of being healthy. And then changing the environment to match that identity and to make your systems easier really kicks it up into the next gear, the next notch of this idea, right? So in the case of healthy food, changing the environment would be only buying healthy food. Change your refrigerator, change your cabinet, change the food that you have around the house to only healthy choices. If you don't want to watch Netflix anymore, maybe take the TV off the wall. I mean, it might sound crazy to some. I've done it. It's not that crazy. It makes perfect sense. If your environment is set up for a certain habit, and you want to change that habit, change the environment. Then that habit can change much easier. So I think this is really powerful. When it comes to, like, let's say soccer, for example, to go back to that example, our backyard is a soccer field. We have 2 goals. We have everything there, a few balls. We have cones for training. We have everything needed. So we change the environment to make it more conducive to his goals. And finally, consistency. And this is arguably the most important thing that we can take from this is consistency. Now, consistency is a fun word. It sounds nice. It's a good word. It sounds like, yeah, everyone needs more consistency, right? But how can we be consistent? And the truth is it requires choosing something sustainable that is possible to be consistent at. So many times people want to be consistent, but they choose something that's so difficult that it's not really possible to be consistent with it. If you know who Stephen Bartlett is, he runs the podcast called Diary of a CEO here on YouTube. And he said that he wanted to change his habits, right? He wanted to go to the gym every single day. That was his goal. And that consistency was everything to him. But you know what happened? The first day he stopped going to the gym, the whole thing fell off. The whole thing flipped upside down, and he wasn't able to hit that goal anymore. So it was great of him to choose consistency and try to be consistent, but he chose something that's just too difficult for most people to do, right? We can say, let's go to the gym at least 3 times a week or at least 2 times a week or something like that. And that would be a better version of the goal. That would allow for more consistency. It would allow for hiccups. It would allow for human error. It would allow for things happening in life. I mean, we're humans, right? But instead, saying, I'm going to go to the gym every single day, it's not likely. It's not possible for most people. The reason is, things come up. Maybe your kid got sick. Maybe your work called, you have to go an extra day or something for overtime. Maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to think of other examples, but you get the point. It's possible to be consistent, but only if we choose a sustainable path. And this is why systems beat motivation 10 times out of 10. Systems work even when you don't feel like working, right? As long as you're able to show up and do the next step in the system, do the next thing, the system continues to work. And oftentimes there's even compounding within that system where if you did the work yesterday, you're still reaping the rewards today, right? So for example, if I'm eating healthy every single day, if I have a cheat day where I have a slice of pizza, that doesn't derail the past 30 days of me eating amazingly healthy. That just makes it so, I fell off for a minute and I can get right back on. The system continues working even when I stopped, right? Because our body's still reaping the reward of all the vitamins and nutrients we ate yesterday, all the fiber we got yesterday, all the healthy foods in our body from yesterday, all the energy we have because of the food we ate yesterday and the day before, and day before, and day before. Systems compound and grow, and they work even when you don't feel like it. And identity drives behavior. If you see yourself as the person you want to become, you start to do the things that person would do. And so oftentimes it helps people that have health goals to put like a picture up of a version of themselves that looks like what they want to look like. So sometimes it'll be someone with like a 6-pack or something, right? And that's for the gym heavy crowd, the crowd that wants to get fit, get in shape. Now, if you want to heal, that's a little, if you're dealing with an infection or something difficult in your life, that's a little bit more tricky for choosing an identity, right? But if you can kind of just look in the mirror and see yourself as already healthy and tell yourself you're healthy. And it's like my story that I told before when I said, I'm the healthiest man alive. Was it true? No. Did I live towards that over time? Yes, I did. Did it change my whole life? Yes, it did. So identity drives behavior. Act like the person you want to become. Your environment will beat willpower, right? I mean, like if you have to have a ton of willpower because you walk past a chocolate cake every single day and you're trying to eat healthy and you're just living around chocolate cake all the time, it's all around you. You have it in your kitchen, you have it in your bathtub, you have it in your sink. I don't know why, but you just do. It's going to be almost impossible, right? You're just going to see chocolate cake all the time. You're not going to be thinking about being healthy. You're going to be like, wow, chocolate cake, chocolate cake, chocolate cake. And eventually you're probably going to have some chocolate cake. Hopefully not the one that's in the bathtub. It might be a little soggy. You know what I mean? So design your surroundings for success. Design your world to be the way you want it to be. Maybe putting a treadmill in front of your television. That way, every time you're watching TV, you see the treadmill sitting there. You go, you know what? I'm not just going to sit here and watch TV today. I'm actually going to walk while I watch TV. Nobody's saying you have to run a marathon. I'm saying just move your body, move your legs while you're watching TV instead of, just sitting there. That's just an example. Having the healthy bowl of fruit out on the table so that when you walk past it every day, it's the first thing you think of instead of thinking of the unhealthy foods that you might have. Designing our surroundings for success, creating an environment that allows us to be the person we want to be, it beats willpower 10 times out of 10. And consistency beats intensity. It's so often I see people pick intense, crazy goals that are so far out in the future, and then they end up quitting on themselves. They end up failing. But small actions done every single day compound on top of each other until there's no way but to win. If you want to make winning inevitable, it's all about consistency. Small actions that pile up on top of each other. Nobody ever sat down and wrote a book. Okay, stick with me. What they did was they wrote a sentence, a paragraph, a page, 2 pages. Then they left, and the next day they came back, they did it again. Until months later, years later in a lot of cases, they have an entire book. That's a completely different idea, a completely different process. It's about the small actions that they take every single day, not about intensely slamming towards writing that book every single day, right? Again, just an example. We can think about this in terms of eating healthy too. If you cut everything unhealthy out of your diet and only eat healthy foods for a whole month straight, that's great and all, but will you stick with it for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? Or is it better to just slowly ramp it up over time? Start by cutting out sugar, then take it from there, right? Maybe you cut out gluten, maybe you cut out dairy. Maybe you choose something that you're not going to eat anymore because it's causing inflammation. It's hurting the body. Alcohol, maybe you don't drink alcohol anymore. Consistently doing the right thing, small things. They don't have to be huge or crazy or overwhelming. It can be something so small, but it compounds over time. It turns into something big. And when you feel unmotivated, simply do the smallest possible action. And this is why having a system matters too, because you'll know the smallest action that can be taken, right? So for my son, if he wants to be that professional soccer player one day and he's trying to run his system for soccer, and then one day he's just not feeling well, he doesn't feel rested enough, or he has a stuffy nose or whatever, he has that smallest action that he can take. And that smallest action for him is, let's pass the soccer ball back and forth for 20 minutes. It's not like crazy. We're not asking him to run or jump or do anything crazy or wild. He's not, and this is his choice as well. It's not mine. But he'll say, can we just pass the ball? Like, I don't really want to play a full game. I don't want to go all out. I just want to pass. Same thing goes with eating healthy and with changing your health as well. The smallest possible action, the smallest possible step forward sometimes is the best choice, especially if we're feeling unmotivated. If you feel unmotivated to eat healthy, maybe just have an apple, right? We're not saying to change your whole life and change everything. Just eat one healthy meal. Have a salad. Sometimes we put so much pressure on changing everything in our life that we end up changing nothing. It's time to start taking those small steps every day, especially when we feel unmotivated. And so to wrap this up today, as we get closer to 2026, as we get closer to the brand new year where you get to choose who you're going to be in this new year. And who is it? Who are you going to be? Tell me your goals in the comments below. Share it in the chat. I love being interactive with you. I love, meeting people, connecting with everyone. I do this to connect with people. So let us know. I think we'll have a huge, awesome list of things that people said they want to do when we get these comments coming in. Motivation is a feeling. It's an emotion. It's not something that's going to actually carry you through the entire year. Systems are a strategy, okay? Motivation is not a strategy. It's you have it or you don't. It's an emotion that you feel some days and you don't other days. It's constant swings. It's up and down. Systems stay the same, or mostly the same, at least unless you change something in that system to make it better. That's a whole other story. But a system is a strategy. This is how we're going to hit the goal. We're going to do this system. We're going to do these small steps every day, and it's going to add up to the big picture. We're going to write 1 page a day, and one day it'll turn into a book. We're going to eat a healthy lunch every single day, and we're going to have more energy. We're going to feel better. These simple systems go so much further than motivation. So stop chasing motivation. Start building systems. And that's all I have for you today. I hope this finds you well. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button as well. It lets YouTube know that we're making good content that more people like yourself need to see. You never know who needs to see this video. And hitting that like button is free, simple, easy. It's right there in front of you, and it lets people find us, which in turn you never know. Like sometimes people really, really need that voice. They need that message that we're sharing, and it could end up changing someone's whole situation or at least a tiny piece of their life. So it's really easy to do. Just hit the like button. Then more people will find this video, and I really, really appreciate it. I'm super grateful for your attention and your time, and I'm going to run. But I hope you have an amazing day, and I can't wait to see you again tomorrow for New Year's Eve. And tomorrow, let me see here. I actually have it right here. What are we talking about tomorrow? Tomorrow is going to be about the quiet pressure of New Year's Eve and why this pressure makes change actually harder, right? This should be emotionally resonant. It's timely, obviously, because we're dealing with New Year's Eve tomorrow, and I'm going to do my best to be empathetic. I truly believe that I think about the people that watch these videos. I think about them every single day, and I want them to have the best in life. I want them to be able to have energy, to not have joint pain, to not have brain fog, and to feel like the best version of themselves, but it requires that you continue to show up. And it's not about pressure. It's not about pushing. It's not about any of that. It's simply about showing up and doing your best. Every day, small changes lead to big results over time. So let's continue showing up. Let's continue trying to be the best version of ourselves. And I will see you tomorrow on New Year's Eve 2025, where it's going to finally turn into 2026. And I can't wait to see you there again. Always at 12 p.m. every single day, Monday through Friday, every weekday, 12 p.m. here on YouTube. I will see you then. I will see you there. My name's Ryan Kerr.